Sachidananda Gaura Hari Ki Jai Shri Pancha Tattva Ki Harinama Sankirtana Ki Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol Shiradahi Mahamahotsav Festival Ki Shri Raghunath Das Goswami Pada Ki Shri Chaitanya Charitamritam Ki Radhava Pandit Ki Gaur Premanande. Jai. So today we are very fortunate that the festival day has come of Raghunath Das Goswami's Chiradahi Mahamahotsav Festival, financed by Raghunath Das Goswami for Lord Nityananda, and today it was financed by our Gaur Hari. We got to get some little bit of Chiradahi, Western version. So let me just find. Yes, this is in the Antya-lila chapter
6.
Yeah, actually the whole chapter of Antya-lila chapter 6 is the meeting of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Raghunath Das Goswami, all the way from his first meeting in Shantipur with Mahaprabhu, and then what ensued, his attempts to go to Mahaprabhu, then when Nityananda Prabhu came at Panihati, then he managed to go there, and what kind of blessings did he receive? We're going to hear about that today, which enabled him to do what? And leave what behind? This is the thing.
Palace.
He couldn't.
The contemptible wealth.
But until he got the mercy. Yeah. Until he got the mercy of Lord Nityananda, could not happen. And so this is very relevant for all Vaishnavas, all of us. He is teaching by his own example. All of the Lord's associates teach us many lessons by their own personal examples. And actually the life of Raghunath Das Goswami is the main character in Gaur Leela, who has shown his entire life, the course of his life, right? And how he eventually came to the lotus feet of Swarup Damodar Goswami and Swamis, and lived on the banks of Radha Kunda. And that's why in this song of Nitai Padakamalam, Narottam Das Thakur has told twice in this song. First of all, in the first verse, Heno Nitai Vine Bhai. Oh my brothers, without Nitai, Radha Krishna Paitenai. No possible. No possible. Never possible to attain Radha and Krishna without Nitai. Narottam Das Thakur is one of our topmost acharyas in our line. And this song is the classic song by him, the glories of Nityananda Prabhu. And at the end of the song, again he says, Nitayer Karuna Habe. When the mercy of Nitai, then Vraje Radha Krishna Pabe. Then only will you get the lotus feet of Radha and Krishna in Braj. You know that our Gurudev, every morning, he had many stavas and stutis that he would chant. And he always chanted the Nityananda Ashtakam, written by who? Vrindavan Das Thakur. Yes. that Nityananda Prabhu is the very mainstay of all the rasas. So today we're going to hear this pastime, and although it's a very simple and sweet narration pastime, and filled with humor and Lord Nityananda's kautuki ways, very sweet. But the effect is very powerful. So we want to dive into that and get a few drops from the Ganga Devi there, where everybody was standing in the water holding their 2 cups and observing this festival and eating. No space on the land, so they had to stand in the water. Yeah. So there was so much going on. Even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was summoned, called by Lord Nityananda from Puri, and he came. He came. And he didn't just leave right away. He stayed there. And fortunate persons could see him, but most people could not see him. Yeah, they couldn't see him. But even after the whole festival, then they went to Raghava Pandit's house and Maha Sankirtan into the night. Mahaprabhu was also there observing. And then Raghava Pandit fed Nitai and Gaur, sat them down. So many beautiful things. We're going to read this now. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namane. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarane Gurvagyam Shirashi Dharyam Shaktya Avesha Swarupane Hare Krishneti Mantrena Paschatya Prachya Tarane. Namo Vishnupadaya Radhikai Priyatmane Shri Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Iti Namane. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami. Vancha Kalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhubhi Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Namo Mahabhadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaura Trishe Namaha. Nityanandam Namastubhyam Premananda Pradayane Kalo Kalmashanashaya Janava Bhataye Namaha. Nityananda Maham Naomi Sarvananda Karam Param Dam Devam Avadhuta Shiromanim Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam Bhakta Avataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vrindai Devai Priyaye Keshavasya Krishna Bhakti Prade Devi Satyavachai Namo Namaha. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So first of all, I'm offering my Dandavat Pranams and my Shraddha Pushpanjali at the lotus feet of my most beloved worshipable Gurudev. Pravishto Vishnupad, Paramahansa Astatarasata Sri Srila, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada, who became Nityananda Shakti Avesh. Then I'm offering my same unlimited Dandavat Pranams and my Shraddha Pushpanjali at the lotus feet of my most worshipable beloved Siksha Gurudevs, Nitya Lila Pravishto Vishnupad Paramahansa Ashtatarasata Sri Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj. And Nitya Lila Pravishto Vishnupad Paramahansa Ashtatarasata Sri Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And both of these personalities contributed tremendous information and transcendental knowledge of Mahaprabhu, Gauranga Mahaprabhu's pastimes, and Nityananda Prabhu and all of their associates. Srila Sridhar Maharaj used to sit on the veranda for those years, 11 years after our Prabhupada departed, and just inundating the whole world with Harikatha. Luckily it was recorded. And you can see there are some videos also, and he's sitting and just directly from his heart giving so much nectar. And then he would pause in between his inundation of Harikatha, and he would just sit there and he would say, Gaur Hari Bol, Gaur Hari Bol, Gaur Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, like this. And sometimes he would just say, Nitai, 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 like this. So they are the ones. Prabhupada, he prayed for the to descend so that he could serve the order of his Guru Maharaj. Gurvagyam Shirashi Daryam. This shloka, there are 3 or 4 pranam mantras, which were also edited by Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj for our Prabhupada. And he's telling there that Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Prabhupadaya Te Namaha Gurvagyam Shirashi Dharyam Shakti Avesha Swarupane. Taking the order of his Guru, Gurvagyam Shirashi Dharyam, taking the order of his Guru on his head, Shakti Avesha Swarupane, and accepting the Shakti Avesh, Swarup, of who? Lord Nityananda. Hare Krishneti Mantrena Paschatya Prachya Tarane. And he distributed the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra to all the eastern and western countries of the world. Vishvacharya Prabharjaya Divya Karunya Murtai, becoming the Vishva Acharya, the world Acharya, Divya Karunya Murtai, very embodiment of divine mercy. Because Lord Nityananda is the supreme merciful. Divya Karunya Murtai, Sri Bhagavata Madhurya, Gita Jnana Pradayane. He distributed the sweetness, the Madhurya of Bhagavatam, Sri Bhagavata. And Gita Jnana Pradayane, the knowledge of Gita, Gita Gyan Pradayani. He gave that. Gaura Shri Rupa Siddhanta Saraswati Nishevani. As the eternal servant of Ranga, Gaura Shri Rupa Goswami, Siddhanta Saraswati, and Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, Nishevane. Radha Krishna Padam Boja Bringaya Gurudev Namah. Bringaya means bumblebee. Radha Krishna Padam Boja. He is a bumblebee at the lotus feet of Radha and Krishna. Padam Bujayate. Yes, Padam Bujayate Namaha. So, all of our acharyas, they're empowered personalities. And Lord Nityananda Prabhu has made everything possible and is continuing to make everything possible for the distribution of Gauravani in the whole world. We should never forget the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda, because they are the only shelter. Nitarpata Kamalam Koti Chandra Sushitala. Sushitala means cooling. And the moonshine, coming in a couple of days, full moon, is cooling, not hot like the sun. Very cooling, soothing. So Sushitala means extremely cooling. Like how? Like what quantity of coolness? Millions of moons. Koti Chandra. It's unimaginable. That's why Narottam Das Thakur is saying, Yecha Jagata Jurai. That chayai, it means that shelter, shade of his lotus feet. Whole world can become relieved. Jagat Jurai. And now they really need it. They always do, actually, always. But there's some particularly acute pains being felt by humanity. So the only real shelter and relief will only be the cooling lotus feet of Lord Nityananda, who will situate us at the lotus feet of Lord Gauranga, and eventually we will come to the banks of the Yamuna and bathe in the ecstatic nectar of Radha and Krishna's transcendental eternal pastimes. So now we're going to begin to read. And just as a summary of this chapter, because we're not going to read from the beginning, we'll go up to that section. But so that we get the overview of this chapter, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has given a summary. The Pravahabhashya as follows. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went into transcendental fits of ecstatic love, Ramananda Rai and Sarup Damodar Goswami attended to him and satisfied him as he desired. Now, there's a short narration in the beginning, very nice, about how Mahaprabhu, just like when Srimati Radhika was feeling so much separation, then Lalita Devi would come and somehow or other soothe her burning separation moods. Or like Subal, another example, separation moods from Srimati Radharani. So in Damodar and Rai Ramananda were always with Mahaprabhu. And it's described that during the day, because this is Antya Lila, this is the Antya Lila, and this is when Mahaprabhu is only in Puri, and he's going deeper and deeper and deeper in all these separation moods of Srimati Radhika's praying, tasting that. Described in this chapter that during the day, he would be somewhat a little bit distracted by interacting and dealing with all the different devotees. But at night, then it would become very severe. And he would be weeping and singing songs and the whole night, every night, practically, day and night, day and night. So Raghunath Das Goswami had been attempting to come to the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for a long time. And finally, he left his home and met the Lord. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had gone to Shantipur on his way to Vrindavan, that is when Raghunath Das Goswami had offered to dedicate his life at the Lord's lotus feet. In the meantime, however, a Muslim official became envious of Hiranya Das, that is Raghunath Das Goswami's uncle, and induced some big official court minister to have him arrested. And thus Hiranya Das left his home, but by the intelligence of Raghunath Das, the misunderstanding was mitigated. Narrated how that happened. Even Raghunath was arrested because his uncle had left, so they arrested Raghunath. And the Muslim was trying to threaten Raghunath, and then also threatening to beat him. But it's described as soon as he would see Raghunath's face, he would just, melt. And Raghunath also melted him by saying, actually, you and my father and his brother, you're all three of you, you're all brothers, And brothers, they argue. You know what the whole issue was? The whole issue was that they were from the Kayasta community. And the Kayasta community, they would become collectors for the king, right? So it was a Muslim. And so it came that Hiranya, the uncle of Raghunath Das Goswami, what they were supposed to do is they were supposed to collect all the taxes, and they were supposed to keep 1/4 of that for their own payment, right? And give the other 3/4. So what happened was, tax collector Muslim, who was actually, it said he's a Turk, Turkey or something, like Turkish. They were around in India at that time. That person became envious of the uncle, and that instead of giving, he was collecting 2 million gold coins. 2 million gold coins. So from that he was supposed to give, 500,000 gold coins. But he only gave 1 million. He kept 300,000 more than he should have. And then Hiranya alerted and had him arrested, or tried to arrest him, but he ran away. But he arrested Raghunath Das. And so Raghunath Das Goswami, they had some village relationship with this, personality, the Muslim who was trying to punish him, and get information from him. Where is your uncle gone? So then Raghunath began to tell him, you are really the brother of my father and my uncle. So all three of you are brothers. And brothers are always arguing. This is natural for brothers. But then the next moment, they're all together. So we should not take this so seriously. And besides that, just like I am the son of my father, so I'm also your son. And you should also be affectionate to me, like this. And the person to whom Raghunath was speaking, he just completely melted. Tears started rolling down into his beard, it's described. Then he said, yes, from this day forward, you're my son. Okay, let's settle everything, And then it was just all settled, And then he was released. So all these narrations are there. And this is after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave him the instruction that he should go home. And he should make a list of affairs and all that. But internally, Mahaprabhu told him, it should be like a lady who has a paramour lover, and she doesn't want that her husband will ever find this out, or her family members, so therefore she's very carefully, she does all of her household duties, but internally, she's always meditating on that person. Parakita ras, right? But he's just giving an ordinary example, you know. Yeah, so then, anyway, he tried to escape Raghunath Das Goswami, but he couldn't, because his family, I mean, they were so wealthy, and they had all these guards, and they just employed all these guards, you know, and again, run away. But they ran after him and caught him and brought him back. It's like being one day finally, like, to the father, Raghunath Swami's mother, and saying, "Oh, our son, he's gone mad, you know." And then the father said, "Yes, what do you expect? The influence of that madman, Sri Chaitanya Chandra. So now he's also become a madman. And look, our son, he has everything, he has all wealth. He has, who is as beautiful as an Apsara from the heavenly planets," Gurudev used to say, "more beautiful than Miss Universe," Gurudev used to say. But none of, so that this, but still they're trying to keep him. So anyway, it happened that Raghunath Das went to Panihati. This is just the summary still. And following the order of Lord Nityananda Prabhu, he observed the festival, Chira Dadi Mahotsava, by distributing chipped rice mixed with yogurt. The day after the festival, Nityananda Prabhu gave that he would very soon attain the shelter of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And after this incident, Raghunath Das, with the help of his priest, whose name was Yadunandanacharya, he got out of his house by trickery, and thus he ran away. And not touching the general path, Raghunath Das Goswami secretly went to Jagannath Puri. After 12 days, he arrived in Puri at the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Usually it takes 30 days. 12 days. Yes,
That's how long it took the party of Shivananda Sain and all the
generally took a month, yeah.
Wow.
So,
It's a journey.
yeah, but he was running and running.
Each year, there and back.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Beautiful walk.
There's, you know, in the village, by the way, in the village of Panihati is the actual place where the house of Raghava Pandit was. Sister. And the artwork that is on the walls in that house, you know, relief artwork, you know, and it shows how every year Raghava Pandit and his sister changed bags of different types of special foods like achar and pickle and this and that would last a whole year. And very lovingly and affectionately, they make all these preparations and carry it on their heads the whole way, you know. And others would also be carrying. And these bags were very famous. They're called Raga bags. So they were the bags, the cloth bags bound and everything of Raghava, Raghavera Jali. And then they would deliver it to the servant of Mahaprabhu, and for the whole year, Govinda would be giving for Mahaprabhu daily, along with his prasadam. So they feet long, the whole incredible associates of Mahaprabhu, you know, and they're like, it looks like trance, of deep, deep moods for Mahaprabhu, and they're walking, their arms are like this, and they're walking, they have all these bags on their heads, going to Mahaprabhu. So those associates, they're our eternal shelter. The whole Chaitanya Charitamrita. And actually Raghunath Das Goswami, he had to get their blessings. Nityananda Prabhu told they should all bless him. Yes, at that festival. So then, just to finish this summary, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu entrusted Raghunath Das Goswami to Swarup Damodar Goswami. Because we have to know that this festival, the main point about this is the main festival of Raghunath Das Goswami. So to separate this festival from the story does not give you impact. It's an entire chapter. This is the chapter that, from start to finish, how Raghunath Das Goswami received the direct mercy and lived in Jagannath 18 years that Mahaprabhu was staying only in Puri. So Mahaprabhu entrusted Raghunath Das Goswami to Swarup Damodar Goswami. And as you know, or probably you know, that Mahaprabhu never gave direct instructions to Raghunath Das Goswami, only one time. He learned everything from Swarup Damodar. He's living right there. But at that time, Mahaprabhu was in such deep internal moods. So Swarup Damodar took Raghunath Das Goswami completely. And he became known as Swaruper Raghu, the Raghunath of Swarup Damodar. So for 5 days, after Raghunath Das Goswami arrived in Puri, for 5 days, he took prasadam at the Puri temple. But later, then he gave that up, and he would stand at the Singhadwar gate and eat only whatever he could gather by alms. Then he gave that up. Later, he lived by taking alms from the various chatras. These were prasadam distribution centers for pilgrims. Then when Raghunath's father received news of this, he sent some men and money. But Raghunath Das Goswami refused to accept the money. And understanding that Raghunath Das Goswami was living by begging the chatras, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu presented him Govardhan Shila. Directly from Das Goswami it's in our songbook. There's two Chaitanya Ashram, one by Raghunath Das Goswami, one by Rupa Goswami. And he how merciful Mahaprabhu was to him, to give him Shila. The one that's there in the temple, in Radha Gokulananda temple, they say is that Shila. But as far as I've heard, Gurudev doesn't accept that it's actually that Shila, Govardhan Shila. But that Shila is small and like rectangular shaped, and it has an indentation in that Shila. So what the pujaris there tell you is that Mahaprabhu, and it's true, Mahaprabhu was always weeping and washing the Shila with his tears and holding to his heart. And so that was given by Mahaprabhu to Raghunath Das Goswami, along with Gunjamala, which represents Srimati Radhika directly. So, thereafter Raghunath Das Goswami used to eat rejected food that he had collected and washed. And what was that? It was the rice, that was left over and was starting to go off. And there's a corner of the Jagannath temple where that rice would come out, and the cows would come there, and they would eat that rice. So, but some of that rice had become so fermented, the cows wouldn't eat it. So Raghunath Das would take that fermented rice, and all the parts that had been fermented would fall away, and there would just be some little inner part, small, and that's what he said, subsist. And Mahaprabhu, you see, because Mahaprabhu was watching everything, how renounced he's becoming, gradually. Point. Mahaprabhu became very pleased, and then Mahaprabhu personally became there. Without Raghunath noticing, like Raghunath sitting there and he's eating, and then Mahaprabhu said, Raghunath, you are having a great feast of Jagannath Mahaprasadam, and you're not inviting me. Oh. And Raghunath was like trying to hide it from Mahaprabhu. And then Mahaprabhu snatched and ate just a couple of grains of this rice, and he became so ecstatic. He became overwhelmed with ecstasy from this. So in that way, this renounced, Raghunath Das used to eat rejected food that he had collected and washed. This renounced life greatly pleased both Swarup Damodar Goswami and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. One day, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took by force some of the same food, thus blessing Raghunath Das Goswami for his renunciation. So that's the subject matter of the entire chapter, summarized by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And of course, there are many other pastimes that took place, especially later, after Mahaprabhu departed. And Raghunath Das Goswami could not tolerate the separation. He wanted to commit suicide. He could not tolerate. All had gone. Swarup Damodar Goswami had left. Mahaprabhu had left. And jump from Govardhan Hill and commit suicide. But Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj explains that when he came to Vrindavan and he met Rupa and Sanatan, and when Rupa and Sanatan saw him in the condition that he was, they took so much compassion upon him, and mercifully they took him in as their brother, and they looked after him. And what Srila Sridhar Maharaj said is that they nourished him with what? The nectar, the treasures that they had been composing in their books. All that Katha, they nourished him with that. And then Srila Sridhar Maharaj says, at that time, Raghunath Das, one thing. He said, Mahaprabhu has not left. He is in the personalities of Rupa and Sanatan. Living as anything, he is there. So then, Raghunath Das Goswami remained for the rest of the day in Vrindavan and Radha Kunda. His samadhi is there. Apakushamanja, greatest, highest treasure of all the Vilapa, dream lamentation, Kushum Anjali, a flower bouquet of extreme lamentation. So every Vaishnava in this line of Raghunath Das Goswami takes shelter of his lotus feet, of Rupa and Sanatan, and one day to read, to hear, and feel these moods of our book. Everything in their books. So now we will move forward in this narration. I'm going to find the place. Okay. So we're at verse 42 in this chapter. So as the father of Raghunath Das Goswami said, Chaitanya Chandrera Kripa Hoyache ing Hare Chaitanya Chandrer Batula Ke Rakite Pare. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has fully bestowed his mercy on our son Raghunath. So who can keep home such a madman of Chaitanya Chandra? Batul means madman. So, Ke Rakite Pari. Back. Now he has become a madman of Chaitanya Chandra. Now, Raghunatha Kichu Vichari Lamani. Then in his mind. And the next day, Nityananda Chalila Ardine. Next day he went to Nityananda Gosai. Panihati Grame Paila, Prabhura Darashan. In the village of Panihati, Raghunath Das obtained an interview with the Prabhu. Others. Gangatire Vriksha Mule Pindara Upade. Sitting on a rock under a tree on the banks of the Ganga, as effulgent as hundreds of thousands of rising suns. Many devotees sat on the ground surrounding him, and seeing the influence of Nityananda Prabhu, Raghunath Das was astonished when he saw from a distance Nityananda and his effulgence and all the devotees. He was completely astonished, Raghunath Das. Can you imagine how we would be astonished if we saw that scene? Dandavat hayase padila katadure. Raghunath Das offered his obeisances by falling prostrate at a distant place. And then the servant of Nityananda Prabhu pointed out, "Oh, Raghunath Dandavat Kare, Raghunath is offering you obeisances." Shuni Prabhu Kohe, Chora Dili Darashan, Aya Aji Tora Karimo Dandan. This is Nityananda's words. Hearing this, Lord Nityananda said, "You are a thief, Chor. You are a thief. And now you've come to see me. Come here, come here. Today I shall punish you." Prabhu Bolai, Teo Nikate na Kore Gamana. The Lord called him, but Raghunath did. And then the Lord forcibly caught him and placed his lotus feet upon Raghunath Das's head. Gaur Premanandi. Shri Nityananda Prabhu ki jai. Kautuki Nityananda. Nityananda is very funny. Sahaje Doyamoy. And by nature, he's very merciful. So, he spoke to Raghunath Das as follows. Nikatena Aisha Chora, you didn't come near today. Bag Dure Dure, you stayed at a distance. Captured you. And now Dandimu Tumore. Now I'm going to punish you. Dadi Chira Bakshan Koraha Morgane. Shuni Anandita Hoilo Raghunath Mani. Now you should make a festival and you should feed all my associates. yogurt and chipped rice. And hearing this, Raghunath Das was greatly pleased. Sekshane nija lok patayela grame bhakshya dravya lokasab gram hoiteane. Raghunath Das immediately sent his own men to the village to purchase all kinds of eatables and to bring them back. Chira, dadhi, dugda, sandesh, ar, chini, kala, sabdravya, anaya, chaudike, dharila. Raghunath Das brought chipped sweetmeats, sugar, bananas, and other eatables and placed them all around. Mahotsav Brahmana Sajan Asite Lagila Lok Asankhya Ganan. As soon as they heard that a festival was going to be held, all kinds of Brahmins and other gentlemen, they're called Sajjans, all other gentlemen began to arrive. Thus there were innumerable people, asankhya ganan, you couldn't count them. Ar gramantara hoite samagriyanila, shata dui chari holna taha anaila. Seeing the crowd increasing, Raghunath Das arranged to get more eatables from other nearby villages. He also brought 200 to 400 large, round earthen pots. It's a lot. 200 to 400 big, round. Like if you've been in Puri and you see the really big pots, they can feed a lot of people. So, Bora Bora Mrit Kundika Anaila Pancha Shate Ek Vidya Bijay Tate. He also obtained 5 or 7 especially large. And in these pots began soaking rice for the Sabbath Lord Nityananda. So before we go any further, do you all know what chipped rice is?
I'm confused actually, I was going to ask you. Because the actual dried, like flaky versus what chipped rice you take raw.
They're
rice
using the term here, chipped rice, but the Bengali name is chira. It's spelled, I'm explaining. Actually it's spelled C-I-D with a dot under it and a long A with a line over it. Chira. But actually what it's called in India in English is flat rice. It's called flat rice. And it's I don't know exactly how they make it, but they cook it. And then they smash it. They flatten each one of the flakes. Somehow there's a process by which they do that, and then they dry it. So you get this bag of flat rice. And they have different kinds. Like in Puri, they actually have reddish colored flat rice, which is the most nourishing of all. And then there's other, it depends on the type of rice.
Like cereal.
No, you can't eat, you have to soak it first because it's dry. It's not edible directly.
But you don't have to cook it.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like cereal.
It'll soak enough in.
You don't have to cook it again. Just soak
No,
it.
not cook it at all. No. This chira, this flat rice, has already been cooked, pre-cooked, right? And all it needs, and sometimes we take that, especially when you have stomach problems, very good for the stomach. You have that with yogurt and bananas, particularly, and it really helps, So you can soak it in water, just water, and put some salt there, or you can soak it in, like in this case, they're going to be soaking it very opulent things, probably misty dahi, or at least very thick dahi, like creamy, and also cooked down milk, What's that called again? Cooked down milk in India?
It starts with the K, koa.
Kheer.
No.
Kheer.
Yeah, when milk is cooked down, it's called kheer. Of course, here we get a version of it in a can called sweetened condensed milk. But this is kheer. It's more watery. It's more liquidy. So they would actually. So what they're going to be doing is in these, especially large earthen pots, they're going to be soaking, because Mahaprabhu wanted that there should be 2 separate preparations made. Jai Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Jai Shri Shri Radha Govinda Gauranga Mahaprabhu Nityananda Ki Jai. So, it'll be described here now. I'll read it. He also obtained 5 or 7 especially large earthen pots. And they were probably like this, you know, like this big earthen pots. And if you ever want to see big pots, go to the Navadvip Dham Parikrama at Keshavji Gaudiya Mat, and you will be blown away. See this rug here, this carpet? That's about how big their walk is. And it takes like 20 men to lift it. And because they got these big heavy rings on these walks, and they put these real heavy bamboo, thick, heavy, and then they lift them up with like 20 men and just like go like this. And then they gradually put them on this big pit, you know, that has like bricks around it. And inside it's like really deep, probably like 8-10 feet deep, filled with logs. They're cooking literally for thousands of people. And these people have come from Jagannath Puri, by the way. They're not Bengalis. They come every year from Puri. Because in Puri, it's the culture, it's the art. They learn for generations. They're coming in like generations of cooks for Jagannath, you know. They know how to do this. And it's very interesting to watch during that whole like 6 days that, you know, that they're there. And just everything that they do. And they're making so many different preparations. They've got about maybe 10 or 12 different huge pits, you know. And it tastes wonderful. They know how to spice for thousands of people, you know. All right, so, and in these pots, a Brahmin began soaking chipped rice for the satisfaction of Lord Nityananda. In one place, chipped rice was soaked in hot milk in each of the large pots. And then half the rice was mixed with yogurt, sugar, and bananas. Then the other half was mixed with condensed milk and a special type of banana known as champa kala. Then sugar, clarified butter, ghee, and camphor were added. After Nityananda Prabhu had changed his cloth for a new one and sat on a raised platform, the Brahmin brought before him the 7 huge pots. On that platform, all the most important associates of Sri Nityananda Prabhu, as well as other important men, they sat down in a circle around the Lord. Here's their names: Ramdas, Sundarananda, Das Gadadhar, Murari, Kamalakara, Sadashiv Purandar, Dhananjaya Jagadish Parameshwara Das, Mahesh Gauri Das Hoda Krishna Das, Uddharan Datta Adi Jagan Upare Vasila Sab Ke Kore Ganan. Similarly, Uddharan Datta Thakur and many other personal associates of the Lord sat on the raised platform with Nityananda Prabhu. No one could count them all. So in the purport, Prabhupada is quoting Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati and giving the actual exact reference from various chapters in the Adi Leela of the names of each one of these where you can read about them. Shuni Pandit Bhattacharya Jata Vipra Aila. Hearing about the festival, all kinds of learned scholars, Brahmins, and priests went there. Lord Nityananda Prabhu, he honored them and he made them sit on the raised platform with him. Everyone was offered 2 earthen pots. In one was put the chipped rice with condensed milk, and in the other, chipped rice with yogurt. All the other people sat in groups around the platform. No one could count how many people were there. Each and every one of them was supplied 2 earthen pots, one of chipped rice soaked in yogurt, other of chipped rice soaked in condensed milk. Some of the Brahmins, not having gotten a place on the platform, they went to the bank of the Ganga with their 2 earthen pots, and they soaked their chipped rice there. Others who could not get a place even on the bank of the Ganga, they got down into the water, and they began eating their 2 cups, their 2 kinds of chipped rice. Thus, some sat on the platform, some at the base of the platform, and some on the bank of the Ganga. They were all supplied 2 pots each by the 20 men who were distributed the prasadam. At that time, Raghava Pandit arrived there. And seeing the situation, he began to laugh in great surprise. He brought many kinds of food cooked in ghee and offered to the Lord. And this prasadam he placed before Lord Nityananda and then distributed it amongst the devotees. But Lord Nityananda said, Raghava said to Lord Nityananda, "For you, sir, I have already offered food to the deity." Sir means Gosai. They're calling sir. So he said, "I've already offered all of this to the deity, but you are engaged in a festival here. And so the food is lying there untouched." So Lord Nityananda replied, "Let me eat all this food here during the day, and I shall eat at your home at night." So he didn't want to take that. He just wanted to eat. And then what did he say? "Gopa Jati Ami, Bahu Gopagan Sange." I belong to a community of cowherd boys, and therefore I generally have many cowherd associates with me, and I am happy when we eat together in a picnic like this by the sandy bank of the river. Lord Nityananda made Raghava Pandit sit down and had 2 pots delivered to him also. And there were 2 kinds of chipped rice soaked in them, 2 different types of chipped rice also. So when the chipped rice had been served to everyone, Lord Nityananda Prabhu, in meditation, he brought Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu arrived, Lord Nityananda stood up. And they then saw how the others were enjoying the chipped rice with yogurt and condensed milk. And from each and every pot, Lord Nityananda Prabhu took 1 morsel of chipped rice and pushed it into the mouth of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as a joke. Parihas, making a joke. And Mahaprabhu, also smiling, took a morsel of food, pushed it into the mouth of Nityananda, and laughed. And he made Lord Nityananda eat it. And in this way, Lord Nityananda was walking through all the groups of eaters, and all the Vaishnavas standing there were seeing the fun. No one could understand what Nityananda Prabhu was doing as he walked about. But some, however, were very fortunate. They could see that Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was also present. Then Lord Nityananda smiled and he sat down. On his right side, he kept 4 pots of chipped rice that had not been made from boiled paddy. I don't know, I was trying to figure out when I was reading this before. Not made from boiled paddy. Anyway, another type of special flat rice. Lord Nityananda offered Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu a place and had him sit down. And then together the 2 brothers began eating the chipped rice. And seeing Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu eating with him, Lord Nityananda Prabhu became very happy, and he exhibited varieties of ecstatic love. Bhava Vesh Prakash Korila. Then Lord Nityananda Prabhu ordered, "All of you eat, chanting the holy name of Hari. Hari Boli Karaha Bhojan." All of you eat and chant Hari. And then immediately, Hari Hari Dvani Utti Barilo Bhuvan. Immediately the holy names of Hari Hari resounded, filling the entire universe. Hari Hari Boli Vaishnav Koraye Bhojan, Pulin Bhojan Sabar Hoilo Smaran. When all the Vaishnavas were chanting the holy names of Hari, Hari Hari, and eating, then they remembered how Krishna and Balaram ate with their companions and the cowherd boys on the bank of the Yamuna. Nityananda Mahaprabhu Kripalu Udar. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Nityananda Prabhu are extremely merciful and udar, liberal. And Raghunathar Bhagya Eta Koyar. It was Raghunath Das's good fortune that they accepted all these dealings. Who can understand the influence and the mercy of Lord Nityananda Prabhu? He is so powerful that he induced Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to come eat chipped rice on the banks of the Ganga. So all the confidential devotees, who were cowherd boys, headed by Ram Das, they were absorbed in ecstatic love. And they thought that the bank of the Ganga to be the bank of the Yamuna. Because you know that Lord Nityananda has 12 special cowherd boys. And they all descended in Gaur Leela. So when Nityananda Prabhu was sent by Mahaprabhu to preach in Bengal, those 12 came with him. They're his personal associates. So, and when they were eating and having this picnic, they were all completely absorbed in the mood that oh, we're in Vrindavan. We're having our picnic on the banks of the Yamuna. They didn't see it as the Ganga. And when the shopkeepers of many other villages, when they heard about the festival, they arrived there to sell chipped rice, yogurt, sweetmeats, and bananas. As they came bringing all kinds of food, Raghunath immediately purchased all of it. And he gave them the price for their goods, and later he fed them with the very same food. Kautuka dekite. Anyone who came to see how these funny things were going on, they were also fed chipped rice, yogurt, and bananas. Bhojan Kori, Nityananda Achaman Koila. Then after Lord Nityananda Prabhu finished eating, he washed his hands and mouth, and he gave Raghunath Das the food remaining in those 4 pots. Direct Mahaprasad of Gaur Nitai. There was food remaining in the 3 other big pots of Lord Nityananda, and a Brahmin distributed it to all the devotees, giving a morsel to each. Then a Brahmin brought a flower garland, placed the garland on Nityananda Prabhu's neck, and smeared sandalwood pulp all over his body. And when a servant brought betel nuts and offered them to Lord Nityananda, the Lord smiled and chewed them. And with his own hands, Lord Nityananda Prabhu distributed to all the devotees whatever flower garlands, sandalwood pulp, and betel nuts remained. After receiving the remnants of food left by Lord Nityananda Prabhu, then Raghunath Das, who was greatly happy, ate some and distributed the rest among his own associates. Thus I have described the pastimes of Lord Nityananda Prabhu in relation to the celebrated festival of chipped rice and yogurt. Nityananda Prabhu rested for the day, and when the day ended, he went to the temple of Raghava Pandit, and he began congregational chanting of the holy names of the Lord. Lord Nityananda Prabhu first influenced all the devotees to dance, and finally he himself began dancing, and thus inundating the entire world in ecstatic love. And then Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was observing the dancing of Lord Nityananda Prabhu. Nityananda could see this, but the others could not. Then the dancing of Lord Nityananda Prabhu, like the dancing of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, cannot be compared to anything within these 3 worlds. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Imagine their dancing of Gaur Nitai. No one can properly describe the sweetness of Lord Nityananda's dancing. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally comes to see it. And after the dancing, and after Lord Nityananda had rested, then Raghava Pandit submitted his request that the Lord take his supper. Lord Nityananda Prabhu sat down for supper with his personal associates, and he made a sitting place on his right side for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came there and sat down at his place. Seeing this, Raghava Pandit felt increasing happiness. Raghava Pandit brought the prasadam before the 2 brothers, and thereafter he distributed prasadam to all the other Vaishnavas. There were varieties of cakes, sweet rice, and fine cooked rice that surpassed the taste of nectar, There were also varieties of vegetables. The food prepared and offered to the deity by Raghava Pandit was like the essence of nectar. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came there again and again to eat such prasadam. When Raghava Pandit offered the food to the deity after cooking, he would make a separate offering for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Pratidin, every day, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would eat at the house of Raghava Pandit. And sometimes he would give Raghava Pandit the opportunity to see him. Imagine that. Raghava Pandit would bring and distribute prasadam to the two brothers, feeding them with great attention. They ate everything, and therefore there were no remnants left. He brought so many presentations that no one could know them perfectly. Indeed, it was a fact that the Supreme Mother, Radharani, personally cooked in the house of Raghava Pandit. Isn't this a nice spiritual movement that we're in? Srimati Radharani received from Durvasa Muni the benediction that whatever she cooked would be sweeter than nectar. That is the special feature of her cooking. Sugandhi Sundara Prasad, aromatic, Sugandhi, and pleasing to all, Sundara. The food was the essence of all sweetness, and thus the two brothers, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Lord Nityananda Prabhu, ate it with great satisfaction. All the devotees present requested Raghunath Das to sit down and to take prasadam. But Raghava Pandit told them he will take prasadam later. Then all the devotees took prasadam, filling themselves up to what?
The neck.
Akanta. Kanta means neck, like your kanti mala.
Yeah.
Akanta. Bhaktagana akanta bariya. Bariya means filling, up to the neck. So here, Prabhupada translated to the brim. And thereafter, the chanting of the holy name of Hari, they stood up and they washed their hands and mouths. And after eating, the two brothers washed their hands and mouths. And then Raghava Pandit brought flower garlands and sandalwood pulp and decorated them. Raghava Pandit offered them betel nuts and worshipped their lotus feet. He also distributed betel nuts, flower garlands, and sandalwood pulp to the devotees. Raghavera kripa raghunatera upare dui bayer avashishta patra dilotare. Raghava Pandit, being very merciful toward Raghunath Das, offered him the dishes with the remnants of food left by the two brothers. So he got it twice. He got it twice in the Chiradahi festival and then that evening. And he said, Raghava Pandit said, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has eaten this food. If you take his remnants, you will be released from the bondage of your family. Tomara bandhana, the bondage. And then he continued and he said, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he always resides either in the heart or in the home of a devotee. Those are his two places, in the heart or the home of the devotee. This fact is sometimes hidden and sometimes manifest. For the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is fully independent, Svatantra Bhagavan. And Raghava Pandit continued, Sarvatra Vyapaka Prabhur Sada Sarvatra Vas. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is Vyapaka, all-pervading. Sarva Vyapaka. And therefore, he resides everywhere. And anyone who doubts this will be destroyed. Then, in the morning, after taking his bath in the Ganga, Nityananda Prabhu sat down with his associates beneath the same tree under which he had previously sat. Then Raghunath Das went there and worshipped Lord Nityananda's lotus feet. And through Raghava Pandit, he submitted his desire. So he didn't directly submit to Nityananda, but through Raghava Pandit, he submitted his desire. So Raghava Pandit spoke on behalf of Raghunath Das, and he said, Adhama Pamara Mui Heen Jivadham. I am the lowest of men. I am the most sinful, fallen, and condemned. Nevertheless, I desire to attain the shelter at the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Like a dwarf who wants to catch the moon, I have tried my best many times, but I have never been successful. Every time I tried to go away and give up my home relationships, my father and mother unfortunately kept me bound. No one can attain the shelter of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu without your mercy. But if you are merciful, even the lowest of men can attain shelter at his lotus feet. And although I am unfit and greatly afraid to even submit this plea, but I nevertheless request you, O Nityananda Gosai, be especially merciful toward me by granting me shelter at the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Placing your feet on my head, give me the benediction that I may achieve the shelter of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu without difficulty. I pray for this benediction. After hearing this appeal by Raghunath Das, Lord Nityananda Prabhu smiled. And he told all the devotees, you know, Raghunath Das's standard of material happiness is equal to that of Indra, the king of heaven. And because of the mercy bestowed upon him by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Raghunath Das, although situated in such material happiness, does not like it at all. And therefore, let every one of you be merciful toward him and give him the benediction that he may very soon attain shelter at the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. One who experiences the fragrance of the lotus feet of Lord Krishna does not value even the standard of happiness available in Brahmaloka, the topmost planet. So what to speak? He quotes a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, 5th canto. Yo dustyajan darasutan suhrid rajyam hridis prisha vad uttama shloka lalasa. Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is offered sublime poetic prayers by those who are trying to attain his favor. Thus, he is known as Uttama Shloka. And being very eager to gain the association of Lord Krishna, Maharaj Bharat, although in the prime of his youth, he gave up his very attractive wife, affectionate children, most beloved friends, and his opulent kingdom. He gave it up exactly as one gives up stool after excreting it. Yes. Very graphic. That's Srimad Bhagavatam. Not exaggerating there. That's how disgusted he was, how completely detached Maharaj Bharat. And we know the whole story of Bharat Maharaj and his 3 lives. So then, Lord Nityananda Prabhu called Raghunath Das near to him. He placed his lotus feet upon Raghunath Das's head and he began to speak. Tumi Jay Koraila E Pulina Bojana, Tomai Kripa Kori Gor Kaila Agaman. my dear Raghunath, since you arranged the feast on the banks of the Ganga, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came here just to show you his mercy. By his causeless mercy, he ate the chipped rice and milk. And then after seeing the dancing of the devotees at night, he took his supper. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Gaura Hari, came here personally to deliver you. Now, rest assured that all the impediments meant for your bondage are gone. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will accept you and place you under the charge of his secretary, Swarup Damodar. You will thus become one of the most confidential internal servants and will attain shelter at the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Be assured of all this now and return to your own home, and very soon, without impediments, you will attain shelter at the lotus feet of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Lord Nityananda had Raghunath Das blessed by all the devotees, and Raghunath Das offered his respects to their lotus feet. And after taking leave of Lord Nityananda Prabhu, and then all the other Vaishnavas, Sri Raghunath Das consulted secretly with Raghava Pandit. After consulting with Raghava Pandit, he secretly delivered 100 gold coins and about 7 tolas of gold into the hand of Nityananda Prabhu's treasurer. And Raghunath Das admonished the treasurer. He said, do not speak about this to Lord Nityananda Prabhu now. But when he returns home, kindly inform him about this presentation. Thereupon, Raghava Pandit took Raghunath Das to his home, and after inducing him to see the deity, he gave Raghunath Das a garland and sandalwood pulp. He gave Raghunath Das a large quantity of prasadam to eat on his way home, and then Raghunath Das again spoke to Raghava Pandit. He said, I want to give money just to worship the lotus feet of all the great devotees, servants and subservants of Lord Nityananda Prabhu. As you think fit, you give 20, 15, 12, 10, or 5 coins to each of them, gold coins. Raghunath Das drew up an account of the amount to be given, and he submitted it to Raghava Pandit, who then made up a list showing how much money was to be paid to each and every devotee. With great humility, Raghunath Das placed 100 gold coins and about 2 tolas of gold before Raghava Pandit for all the other devotees. After taking dust from the feet of Raghava Pandit, then Raghunath Das returned to his home feeling greatly obligated to Lord Prabhu because of having received his merciful benediction. And from that day on, he did not go into the interior section of the house. Instead, he would sleep on the Durga Mandap, the place where Mother Durga was worshipped. There, however, the watchmen alertly kept guard. Raghunath Das was thinking of various means by which to escape their vigilance. I'm just going to complete this last few verses. Raghunath Das was thinking of various means by which to escape all these guards who were alertly guarding him. And then at that time, all the devotees of Bengal, it was the same time when they were all going to be leaving to go to Jagannath Puri to see Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Raghunath Das could not accompany them, for they were so famous that he would have been caught immediately. Thus Raghunath Das thought deeply about how to escape. And then one night, while he was sleeping on the Durga Mandap, the priest, Yadunandan Acharya, who's also like his Siksha Guru, he entered the house when only 4 dandas remained until the end of night. Actually, no, he's his Diksha Guru, Yadunandan Acharya. But Yadunandan Acharya is the Siksha disciple of Vasudev Datta. And he's the direct initiated disciple of Advaita Acharya Prabhu. That tells later on. So that priest, Yadunandanacharya, who was very intimate associate of Mahaprabhu, he was employed by the father and uncle of Raghunath Das in their temple. So he entered at the end of night, and this Durga Mandap where Raghunath Das was sleeping, there were only 4 dandas remained until the end of the night. Yadunandanacharya was the priest and the spiritual master of Raghunath Das, Mahaprabhu, his life and soul. And when Yadunandanacharya entered the house of Raghunath Das and stood in the courtyard, then Raghunath Das went there, and he fell down to offer his obeisances. One of Yadunandanacharya's disciples had been worshipping the deity, but had left that service. So Yadunandanacharya, he wanted Raghunath Das to induce the disciple to take up that service again. So Yadunandanacharya requested Raghunath, please induce the Brahmin to resume the service, for there is no other Brahmin to do it. And after saying this, Yadunandanacharya took Raghunath Das with him, and he went out. By that time, all the watchmen were deeply asleep because it was the end of the night. And east of the house of Raghunath Das was the house of Yadunandanacharya. Yadunandanacharya and Raghunath Das talked together as they went toward that house. Halfway along the path, Raghunath Das submitted at the lotus feet of his spiritual master. I shall go to the home of that Brahmin, induce him to return, and send him to your home. You may go home without anxiety. He's telling to his guru. Following your order, I shall persuade the Brahmin. Now on this plea, after asking permission, Raghunath Das decided to go away. Raghunath Das thought, this is the greatest opportunity to go away, because this time there are no servants or no watchmen with me. And thinking in this way, he quickly proceeded towards the east. And sometimes he turned around and he looked back, but no one was following him. Thinking of the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Nityananda Prabhu, he left the general path and he proceeded with great haste on the one not generally used. And giving up the general path from village to village, he passed through the jungles, thinking within his heart and soul about the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He walked about 30 miles in one day, and in the evening he took rest in the cowshed of a milkman. And when the milkman saw that Raghunath Das was fasting, he gave him some milk. Raghunath Das drank the milk and lay down to rest there for the night. And at the house of Raghunath Das, the servant and the watchman, not seeing him there, immediately went to inquire about him from his spiritual master Yadunandanacharya. And Yadunandanacharya said, he has already returned home. Thus there arose a tumultuous sound as everyone cried, now Raghunath has gone away. And Raghunath Das's father said, now all the devotees from Bengal, they have gone to Jagannath Puri to see Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Raghunath Das has fled with them. 10 men should immediately go catch him and bring him back. Raghunath Das's father wrote a letter to Shivananda saying, asking him with great humility, please return my son. And then in Jankara, the 10 men caught up with the group of Vaishnavas going to Nilachala, and after delivering the letter, the men inquired from Shivananda Sen about Raghunath Das. But Shivananda Sen replied, he did not come here. And then the 10 men returned home, and Raghunath Das's father and mother were filled with anxiety. Raghunath Das, who had been resting at the milkman's house, got up early in the morning, and instead of going to the east, he turned his face south, and he proceeded. He crossed Chhatrabhog, but instead of going on the general path, he proceeded on the path from village to village. And not caring about eating, he traveled all day. Hunger was not an impediment, for his mind was concentrated upon obtaining the shelter at the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We watched a play of this performance in probably like 1998, 98 or 9, in Rupsanatan, in the evening, after the evening program. And Gurudev was sitting there on the dais with Srila Maharaj next to him and other of his godbrothers. And as they were watching this, they were just weeping and weeping. It was so powerful. Sometimes Raghunath Das, he chewed fried grains, and sometimes he cooked, sometimes he drank milk. In this way, he kept his life and soul together with whatever was available wherever he went. He reached Jagannath Puri in 12 days, but he could eat for only 3 days on the way. When Raghunath Das met Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Lord was sitting with his companions headed by Swarup Damodar. And staying at a distant place in the courtyard, he fell down to offer obeisances. Then Mukunda Dutt said, "Here is Raghunath." And as soon as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard these words, he immediately welcomed Raghunath Das. "Come here," he said. Then Raghunath Das then clasped the lotus feet of the Lord, but the Lord stood up and embraced him out of his causeless mercy. And Raghunath Das offered prayers at the lotus feet of all the devotees, headed by Swarup Damodar Goswami, and seeing the special mercy Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had bestowed upon Raghunath Das, they embraced him also. And then Lord Chaitanya said, "The mercy of Lord Krishna is stronger than anything else. Krishna kripa balishta sabahoite. And therefore, tomare kadila vishaya vishta garta hoite. Therefore, the Lord has delivered you from the ditch of materialistic life, which is like a hole into which people pass stool." And then there's a good purport. We're not going to read that right now because the time is gone. But Raghunath Das answered within his mind, "I do not know who Krishna is. I simply know that your mercy, O my Lord, has saved me from my family life." The Lord continued, "Your father and his elder brother are both related as brothers to my grandfather, Nilambar Chakravarti. Therefore I consider them my grandfathers. Since your father and his elder brother are younger brothers of Nilambar Chakravarti, I may joke about them in this way. My dear Raghunath, your father and his elder brother are just like worms in stool in the ditch of material enjoyment. For the great disease of the poison of material enjoyment is what they consider happiness. Although your father and uncle are charitable to Brahmins, greatly help them, and they greatly help the Brahmanas, they are nevertheless not pure Vaishnavas. However, they are Vaishnavera Prai. It means almost like Vaishnavas." And then, yes. So, those who are attached to materialistic life and are blind to spiritual life must act in such a way that they are bound to repeated birth and death by the actions and reactions of their activities. By his own free will, Lord Krishna has delivered you from such a condemned materialistic life. Therefore, the glories of Lord Krishna's causeless mercy cannot be expressed. Seeing Raghunath Das skinny and dirty because of having traveled for 12 days and fasted, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's heart melting due to causeless mercy, he spoke to Swarup Damodar. He said, "My dear Swarup, I entrust this Raghunath Das to you. Please accept him as your son or your servant. There are now 3 Raghunaths among my associates, and from this day forward, this Raghunath should be known as the Raghu of Swarup Damodar." And saying this, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu grasped the hand of Raghunath Das and entrusted him to the hands of Swarup Damodar Goswami. And guess what? Who is Swarup Damodar Goswami? Lalita Devi. And who is Raghunath Das Goswami? Rati Manjari. And Swarup Damodar Goswami accepted Raghunath Das, saying, "Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, whatever you order is accepted." And then he embraced Raghunath again. I cannot properly express the affection of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for his devotees. Being merciful toward Raghunath Das, the Lord spoke as follows to Govinda. On the way, Raghunath Das has fasted. He has undergone hardship for many days. Therefore take good care of him for some days, so that he may eat to his satisfaction. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told Raghunath, go bathe in the sea, and then see Lord Jagannath in the temple, and return here to take your meal. And after saying this, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu got up, went to perform his midday duties, and Raghunath met all the devotees present. And having seen the causeless mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu upon Raghunath Das, all the devotees, struck with wonder, praised his good fortune. Then Raghunath Das took his bath in the sea, saw Lord Jagannath. Then he returned to Govinda, the personal servant of Sri Chaitanya. Govinda offered him a plate with the remnants of food left by Mahaprabhu, and Raghunath Das accepted the prasadam with great happiness. So in this way, the chapter continues with all the narrations of Raghunath Das Goswami's extreme good fortune and his tendency to completely renounce everything. So Raghunath Das Goswami's renunciation is real, true renunciation. Why? Because it's coming from prema. And it was described that his renunciation were like the lines etched into a stone. They could never be altered in any way. So extreme. So we are praying at the lotus feet of Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, Sri Swarup Damodar Goswami, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's associates, especially to the lotus feet of Sri Nityananda Prabhu and Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu, that they will also one day be similarly merciful to all of us, and one day we will also attain directly the shelter of the lotus feet of Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu. Gaur Premanandi. Sri Nityananda Prabhu ki jai. Sri Raghunath Das Goswami Pada ki jai. Sri Chiradahi Maha Mahotsav Festival ki jai. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai. Gaur Premanandi. Jai. Chakri Vashandavi Vachapati Tanakmani Vaishnavi.
Yes, a Dodi.
You can leave.
Kiva jayo jagora chade arati kashova. Yeah. yeah.